According to the latest census data from Statistics Canada, 1 in 10 Torontonians live in poverty. A local organization is launching a new campaign to better support the city's most vulnerable. Right now, I'm joined by Anela Solomos, Vice President, Philanthropy at the Yonge Street Mission. Angela, thank you for taking time to speak with us. Okay, look, we know what's going on with food banks. More and more people are turning to food banks. We know that we are in a cost of living crisis. People can't afford to buy a home. Let's talk about the difference between not being able to afford to buy a home and poverty.
Well, Bakari, thanks for having me, by the way. People are struggling today. 1 in 10 people are now using a food bank more than ever before. And so the idea of buying a home is not even an option. The idea of affording an affordable rental unit in our city is actually out of reach for so many people, which is why we're seeing more and more people walk through the doors of the Yonge Street Mission today than we did even last year, and more so than before the pandemic.
So let's talk about the Yonge Street Mission. What is it? What is the mission?
Yeah, so our mission is a city where people and not poverty thrive. And what that means is we believe that everyone who walks through our door comes with a need. Typically it's for food or for help finding a job, but we understand that there's so much more behind their story. And so our goal is to move them through the food bank, meeting their immediate needs, but then building a relationship with them, getting to know what their story is, and then creating the right circumstances, the right ingredients, so to speak, of programs and services, working in partnership with them to move them forward out of that survival mode and into a place where they can set goals and create plans for their future.
When and why would I come there?
You might lose your job tomorrow. You might have experienced poverty all your life. You might work really hard, but still don't make enough to meet the cost of living in Toronto. So Yonge Street Mission's doors are open for everyone in our city who's struggling to make ends meet. We're here to meet you at your immediate needs, but also our goal is to move you into our more holistic programs to get underneath sort of the root causes of poverty and to try to help you think about your future differently, to imagine a future that has hope and that has opportunity for you to no longer live in poverty.
That leads us to my next question. What is focusing on someone's whole self?
Such a good question. Thank you for asking that, because we've taken a lot of time at the Yonge Street Mission to think that through. We've determined that there are about multiple indicators of wholeness and wellness, but we've broken it down into 12 indicators. 12 indicators that determine someone's holistic well-being. So, you know, poverty isn't just an economic issue. It's a human phenomenon. And it's about your shelter. It's about your access to employment. It's about your ability to afford transit to get to employment. It's also about your feeling of control or power over your own life or around decisions you can make. And so using a system that we've developed at Yonge Street Mission called TIMES, Transformation Integrated Measurement and Evaluation System, it's a mouthful, TIMES, we're able to set a baseline for people when they come into core programming with us. And then we work with them to set goals according to these baselines of wellness so that they can move systematically and intentionally forward in their life.
And Angela, you know, we sort of touched on this, but what is the baseline for poverty? And I ask you to illustrate this, really lay this out, because, you know, there's a push for, you know, public transit in downtown. But you just said you could lose your job and you need it. If you have a place downtown, you need to be making 6 figures. Right. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use the public transit. Look at where we are in Scarborough. You can't, you know, live and work and, you know, downtown in Scarborough and not have a card, reliable transportation. Come on now.
Times are tough. Yeah, you've just described it. And I think that's the first step in trying to understand what the solution to poverty is. It's understanding it and really getting your head around what people are facing in the city of Toronto today. And I encourage you and your viewers to download our new white paper. We've just produced a white paper called The End of Poverty, a people-centered, evidence-driven approach. And in it, we don't have a lot of time today, but people can download the report and learn about everything that you've just been talking about, the difficulties and the struggles of people in Toronto, but also what we're learning through the data, through the Times data on what's working to move people forward. And so I encourage you to go to endtorontopoverty.ca to download the report and to get those questions answered.
Angela, invest in people, change the story? What does this mean? What does this look like?
Can I answer that question with a question?
Absolutely.
In your life, at some point, someone came alongside you and helped you to make the right decisions, helped you to navigate the tough times. For the community members that walk through the doors at Yonge Street Mission, they're exactly like you, exactly like me, only they're navigating a really, really complex issue. Poverty is interdisciplinary, it's multifaceted, and for someone who's struggling and in survival mode, being able to navigate the system is incredibly difficult. And so investing in people means working alongside people, walking with them, in that position of coach, in that position of care, to help them make those decisions, to help them navigate as they're journeying through poverty with the intentional goal of them thriving, right? Of them moving out of poverty slowly, but intentionally.
Okay, so what's the next step from this conversation this evening?
So I'd love everyone to go to endtorontopoverty.ca. Yonge Street Mission has launched this campaign to raise awareness, not about the crisis, Bakari, but about the hope, about the opportunity we all have to do something to help our neighbors in need. So you can come to the Yonge Street Mission, you can invest in our campaign, you can learn about volunteerism, you can be part of somebody's journey, you can be part of somebody's journey out of poverty.
Why is hope important?
Why is hope important? Well, if you think about living in survival mode, you don't have time for hope. You don't have time to plan. You don't have time to think about, anything beyond your next meal or where it's coming from. And so building hope into people, helping them set attainable goals, working alongside people, journeying with them, that helps people to see that their future is not defined by their present or their past.
And as we wrap up, do you have a success story you can share with us?
Yes, I do. I'd love to tell the story about Steve. Steve's daughter, Alice, introduced him to the Yonge Street Mission. He was spiraling out of control. He was depending on alcohol to manage his stress, but his business was failing. He was dealing with health issues, and he needed support. And his daughter didn't know how to give him the help, so she brought him to the Yonge Street Mission. He was quickly connected with a care manager, so a staff person at the Yonge Street Mission who journeys alongside people like Steve. We enrolled him in our food bank to get food insecurity out of the way. We started to clear the path with those low barrier issues that we could deal with. And then he started working on the bigger issues, systematically creating goals that he could attain one step at a time. And within 2 years, Steve's life had turned around entirely. And what I love about this story, I started by sharing that he was dependent on alcohol to manage his stress and to cope. This work with the care manager helped him build his sense of power and control over his life, and his alcohol abuse started to go down. He was able to make ends meet. His relationship with his daughters improved. And what could have ended up with a man in homelessness ended with a man who's now building up the pieces of his life again.
And hope.
And hope.
Anela Solomos, Vice President, Philanthropy at the Yonge Street Mission. We thank you very much for taking time to come and speak with us and share this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.